Welcome to the Forge Truth Podcast, where we are building great men as God defines greatness. Forge is a movement of men with a mission to help all men realize they're the deeply beloved, redeemed sons of the Most High God. I'm your producer, Zach, and I'm here to discuss the issues that affect men the most with Dr. Pete Allenson, lifelong pastor and leader of Forge. Pete, welcome to the show.
Good to be here. How you doing, man?
Doing really good. You know, one thing we haven't mentioned the last couple of weeks, Jason, who is a co-host on this show, has not been with us.
Yeah.
And I have not been introducing it, but I also haven't explained it. He wasn't able to come when we were recording these, but we love Jason. He's an integral part of the show. So I just want to say, Jason, he's coming back. Don't worry about that.
Absolutely. Right.
Well, today we're continuing our discussion on the latest report from Man in the Mirror, about the state of young men in America. And it's been a really good discussion so far. Today, we're going to jump back in and talk about some of the trends, the shifts that we're seeing in manhood in 2026.
Yeah. Before you jump into that, one of the things that occurs to me is that, you know, when millennials, and you're a millennial, right?
I am,
so
yeah.
when
I'm an older millennial too.
Yeah. What does that mean? One of the first ones?
One of the first ones, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, when you guys first started coming onto the scene, and all my kids are millennial, and from my oldest son to my youngest daughter, she's kind of the last millennial. But the reality is that there were so many jokes that people started making about millennials, and now you guys are. You're in leadership in our culture. It's Gen Z that maybe some people are making jokes about. But one thing we used to say is to the men of the church, stop making jokes about millennials. We need them.
Yeah. What are you trying to do? Turn them away?
I know, right? They're
our
our younger brothers in the faith, and don't make fun of them. We need them. So,
throughout history, people have looked at the younger generation and thought, "Oh, these people don't want to work. They're lazy. They're worthless. You know, like they have bad attitudes, that kind of thing."
Yeah.
There's a website I found a long time ago, and it traces from newspaper clippings and from books and literature and stuff like that the phrase "no one wants to work anymore" or something like that.
Yeah.
And it found instances from like every year going back to like 1500.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's like people have just been saying that forever.
Yeah. And so that's just sort of a natural thing. One guy said to me when I first started preaching in my 20s, he said, just preach, don't worry, because nobody will listen to you till you're 40 anyway. And that wasn't true, by the way, but it's a
good mentality to have.
Yeah. You know, just go, cut loose. All right. So
let's jump back in. The next trend, the shift that we're seeing as far as masculinity in America is the hybrid of faith and fitness. Okay. So groups are popping up. F3 is one that's kind of local to here in Central Florida, where you're combining a focus on faith and a focus on fitness.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
And F3 is fitness, fellowship, and faith. And really, it's not distinctively a Christian organization, though it probably has Christian roots. A lot of our guys at Forge go to F3, and it's almost completely Christian group, but it's a sort of a broad spiritual kind of idea.
We joke that we need to start an F4, which is fitness, fellowship, and faith and Forge.
That's right. That's right. Oh,
absolutely. But this idea that we are body and soul, and both are important.
Yeah.
And so let's take care of both at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. And we think that's a good thing. We think that's being a good steward of the body that God has given us. And it's interesting how, you know, we're pretty invincible in our 20s. In our late 30s, if we have a sedentary job, that's when we begin to notice the weight piling on, or the creaks in bones starting to happen. But by mid 40s, for sure, it's taking place among most men. So, it really is important. Why do we need to take care of our bodies? How is that a spiritual thing?
Well, our bodies enable us to do everything else in our daily life, right? You need a body that works in order to go on a date with your wife, to play with your kids, to show up at your job, to go travel, and like our body is the vehicle that we do everything else in.
Interesting. And here's something that Christians need to understand: we are not Greeks. We are Hebrews in our thinking, and the Hebrew way of thinking is that we're body and soul. God made us body and soul. A lot of the Greeks and a lot of the Middle Eastern, they thought, well, it's the mind. It's only the mind. The body doesn't matter. And in the eternal state, Eastern mysticism says you're going to be joined to the great nirvana or the great spirit. No, we're going to have a new body in a new heaven and new earth. Yeah. We're going to be body and soul again.
And science or secularism would say that we're just body.
Yeah, that's right.
There's no soul.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. And so Christianity threads that needle and say, no, we're both, and both are important and good. And you're not going to get rid of your body. Like you're taking your body into heaven with you.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we want to be, and I like how you put it earlier. We do everything through our body. So be a good manager, and that's what stewardship is. It's just managing. I don't own my body. You don't own yours. We're bought with a price. We belong to Jesus Christ. And so manage the body well. Now, what does that mean to manage your body well? I'd say one area, of course, is eating decently, eating good, and less man-produced food, more whole foods, right?
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
And less junk food.
Yeah.
Eat right and exercise. So
Yeah.
eat right, exercise.
Yeah.
Those are two things. Sleep enough.
I read this book and it basically summed it down to how to eat. It was eat real food, not too much, lots of plants.
Yeah, right. And
it's like that's a good summary. Yeah.
I mean, and my mantra is eat right, exercise, die anyway, but you'll live better.
Do you know that? Am I getting this term right? Memento mori.
Yes. Memento mori.
Yeah. Which means what?
Remember that you will die.
Yeah. Remember that you'll die. Everyone's going to die someday. I downloaded this app called Death Clock. And what it does is you answer a bunch of questions and then it estimates the day that you'll die.
Oh no.
And
you didn't do that.
Oh yeah, it's fun. And then what you can do is it can show you if you adopt different habits, like healthy habits, how on average how much it would extend that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sobering to know that like, okay, so if you just incorporate these few healthy habits, all of a sudden 10 extra years on your life.
Totally.
Yeah.
So quit smoking. Quit drinking. Alcohol's poison.
Don't tell me what to do, Pete.
Stop it. I have a great doctor, Dr. Brad, said, he's in shape. He does F3. And yet you could do some of those things. But yeah, we got to take, he models as a physician where a lot of physicians don't. They don't take care of their bodies. They don't look like they do. But Christians need to model that as well to the rest of the world. And that can be, in a sense, a pre-evangelistic step toward your non-saved friend if you're showing discipline in the physical area as well as the spiritual. Now, that's important, much more.
All right. Another shift in what defines manhood is we're seeing the sacred being talked about more in popular culture.
Yeah, where?
So, in the 2000s, 2010s, it seems like the sacred was kind of like left behind when it came to popular culture. Yeah. Popular culture was not discussing the transcendent or the sacred. And now even mainstream, pop culture platforms are starting to talk about the sacred more. One of my friends, we've had Greg Love on the show.
Yeah.
And he sent me a link to Theo Vaughn. Do you know who Theo Vaughn is?
Yeah, sure.
He was talking about, praying to God and what that meant to him. And if you know anything about this guy is, he's ridiculous. Like he says the most insane things,
outrageous stuff,
things that we cannot repeat on the podcast or in life. Right. So he's out there for sure. But even him, he's starting to bring these spiritual ideas into the mainstream for audiences that will never go to church or otherwise, will never be exposed to ideas of like praying to God. Like that's something that I could do, so he's exposing that to other people. So are, Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson, people that are like, if they are Christian, they're not like Christian in the same way that they're like pursuing God wholeheartedly with all of their, mind, body, spirit, all those kind of things. But there's a spiritual interest there that they are sharing with their massive audiences. And that is noteworthy.
It is. And I think that we as Christians need to, who have maybe not been as bold, is take it as a cue, and to be as winsomely assertive. Like for instance, Wesley Huff and Justin Brierley, who have done a lot of production on apologetics, and just showing how Christianity and the Bible is historically defensible and intellectually defensible. And so that's a good thing. We should see that, welcome it, and not be afraid to talk about our convictions as well as men with our friends.
Yeah. One more kind of shift is the idea of seeing your church community as like tribe almost.
Yeah.
Like as your people.
Yeah.
And I would say Forge fits right into this, right? It becomes part of your identity is I'm a member of Forge, and that is meaningful to me.
Yeah.
And this idea of brotherhood, like people need to belong to something.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. And men need to belong to something. Men, we're wired. It's like people say women like relationships, men don't. That's just not true. We're very relational. We do relationships differently, but we want to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. The church is that. And here's a call again for churches and pastors, elders and deacons to see that they need to go after their men. Every church should have some opportunity of developing their men and creating that tribal connection, that relationship of men.
Yeah.
I like that. By the way, I love that idea of thinking about us as a tribe within the larger body of Christ.
Honestly, when you read the Old Testament, right, there's so much talk about tribes, like
That's
the
right.
12 tribes of Israel, and then they are fighting all sorts of other tribes. I'm in the book of Judges right now with my kids.
Yeah.
So
With your kids, you're reading Judges with your kids.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's this one chapter where they hang someone on a tree.
Yeah.
And my kids think that's the funniest thing. They've had to read that chapter a bunch of times. They're like, read the chapter where they're hanging on the tree. But yeah, some of it I had to explain to them the machinations of bloody warfare in the 3,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, but
it's the real world, and it is the Bible. You can't go wrong exposing your kids to God's word.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're in the book of Judges right now, but it's constantly talking about tribes. And how do you accomplish anything without a tribe of brothers helping you do it?
That's right. That's right. This idea, if it's going to be, it's up to me, is really simply American rugged individualism that never really, even in America, made any sense. And it's not how you can describe the building of anything great. Men build great organizations. They do, but it's not done by one person.
Right. And even if there's one visionary at the head of something, can't do it alone.
That's right.
Right. He's going to need other people to bring his vision to life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there's a church must become tribe or ignored. In other words, I think that there is a church growth principle here that that just getting bigger doesn't mean you will be getting healthier or that God is necessarily blessing you. You could tap into cultural realities and build a niche church and draw a lot of people. You can get the right talent, the right people up front, but that doesn't mean you're actually building a healthy body of Christ. So be careful of that.
Yeah. Another topic is AI and how that's going to redefine human identity. I'm going to make a bold prediction, Pete.
Okay.
I think in 15 years, there's going to be a huge amount of unemployment in our world today.
Okay. Because of AI.
Because of AI. I think it does some things really well.
It does.
It can replace a lot of easy jobs. And people that have easy jobs, all that's left is the hard jobs. And sometimes they're not going to be, trained in how to do those. And so I think there's going to be a lot of unemployment in 15 years, Pete. And so what do we do then?
Well, maybe what I was going to ask you is, what do we do now?
Sure.
What do men do now? Do they try to figure out what jobs are not going to be co-opted by AI, and then they begin to train themselves for jobs that will be there in the long haul? Like, for instance, we have a young man that we're going to celebrate in a couple of weeks up front at Forge, who's just finished his technical training in being able to repair heavy machinery. He's got his degree, walked the aisle, everything, but he's got all these certifications now. It's not college per se, but a big old Caterpillar truck falls apart. He knows how to service that thing. Can AI do all of that? Well,
it can't right now. So yeah, focus on things that you can do better than AI can, or they require the soft skills that are important in human to human interaction.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's not hopeless. There's lots of opportunities. Even like just becoming an expert in how to use those tools to do what you do better, right? It's going to put you above someone else. But what I think the challenge is going to be is, how do you define human identity and our place in the world when it's not going to be defined anymore by like your work necessarily. So let's say someone, their job does get a lot easier because of AI. Like, there's going to be a listlessness if they don't feel challenged in their work anymore.
That's right.
And
bored.
So, yeah, absolutely. Or unemployed. Like, let's say, this is all speculation, right? Let's say in the future, the government's like, you know what, we're just going to pay people not to work because we want to solve the problem by throwing money at it. And now you're going to have people without meaningful work to do, right? That are just kind of on the government payroll. How do they find meaning? And the thing is, like, we will atrophy and die unless we maintain a sense of purpose in our life.
That's right. I totally agree with you. So will that fuel more industries of leisure? Will that fuel sports? Will that fuel playing even more pickleball and creating pickleball courts or golf or whatever?
What I hope it'll fuel is more people that recognize that they have to create purposeful, meaningful work in their life, to have goals, to bring other people into it, to achieve things for something greater than themselves.
And so until Jesus comes back again, that involves building the kingdom of Christ, but also tending to the cultures that is around us. Perhaps talking about what educational areas they could pour into, or health, or infrastructure of some sort.
Well, maybe it's you can help build out your church more, right? To serve more, to spend more time in mentorship, like those kind of things. Like, people need to find meaning. If again, they're no longer the smartest person in the room, like, then what?
Yeah.
And you have to be intentional about that.
You do.
Yeah.
You do. Well, that's a lot to look to, but AI and the redefinition of human identity is crucial. Yeah. Christian identity is the starting point for everything, and as it is for Forge. We are the deeply beloved, redeemed sons of the Most High God. Identity in Christ is the starting point. Well, it's going to be interesting to see as we think ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I want to talk about is these 7 convictions to build the next decade.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
And so this is what they say here is the modern church is not suffering from a shortage of men. It's suffering from a shortage of models.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Men are starving for models of masculinity.
Yep.
So its first recommendation is to stop creating content and start building lives. Now, Pete, I don't know if you knew this or not, but you're a content creator.
Well, that's right. I know. What we're doing right now is creating content.
Yeah.
And every week at Forge, we're teaching. And I think that this point is, it's kind of like the pendulum has swung so far into content production. And like you said, you and I could listen to podcasts all day long.
Yeah.
Sermons all day long. In fact, I feel guilty because I know there's 3 sermons each weekend I should be listening to, and I just don't have time to. So it's not that biblical teaching or content is not important. What's the emphasis that it's given is we need more relational pathways for building and forming masculinity, biblical femininity.
Yeah. What you want to think about it is like what thing is lacking?
Yeah.
Where is the need? Content is not lacking. There's a lot of great content
That's
out
right.
there.
That's right.
What is lacking is brotherhood.
That's right.
What is lacking is mentorship. What is lacking is relationships. That's what people need right now. That's the depleted zone that needs to be filled up.
And that's what takes time. It takes relational time. And sometimes we men don't give the time enough to relationships. But, really, this underlies the whole ideology of Forge, because we meet every week except 4 weeks a year. We meet in the morning before work. That's our niche, or when other people take it and do it in their home or in their church. But we only took 4 weeks off a year, or when we have to get in the habit of meeting together. And if a guy goes on a business trip, he knows we're still meeting. The other thing is that we try to keep our content teaching to 30 minutes. I went over again today a little bit, but I'm trying to keep it 30 minutes and then 30 minutes of team talk. But we encourage them to get together on other times. And that we're intentionally trying to create a pathway for Christian men to become brothers and to learn from each other, and that we don't just learn from our preachers or from podcasts.
Yeah.
We can learn from each other.
Yeah. Another advice it has is don't soften the gospel, but sharpen it.
Yeah. What do you mean? What do we mean?
I think people are tired of toothless Christianity. Like we're a gospel that's been, made so user-friendly that it lacks any type of bite to it.
Yeah.
And I think people want the truth.
Yeah.
And even if that is, a little rough around the edges, they want what's true and real rather than something that's been sanitized.
I totally, that one line in this report, men don't need a therapeutic Jesus who improves their mood. They need a savior who names their sin, breaks their idols, and offers them a cross to carry. That's the kind of manhood that is muscular, and they want clarity. They want weight. There was a great blog I read recently had picture of two younger men and in the mountains, and it says why men can't carry weight. And it was sort of talking about these young men not carrying much in the way of a backpack. But we don't ask young men to carry weight, and so they don't learn to carry weight. And so I love this point. Don't soften the gospel, sharpen it. In other words, we've dialed it back. We've already dialed it back far enough. Wow.
Yeah. Another one is give men brothers and not just leaders. Okay. So, we at Forge, we say all the time that all men are leaders, and we believe that they lead in so many different spheres of their life. But at the same time, they're brothers, and you can't just tell people to be a leader and not have any peers. Like we need peers. We need people on our own level because that brotherhood is so important.
So what will it be like if we Christian men have more brothers? How will our lives be different?
Well, you have someone to go through life with, right?
Yeah.
So like you are doing something communally with someone. It's lonely at the top, right? If you're in a leadership capacity and no one is your brother, they're all just your followers, or the people that you lead, you can't lean on them like you can lean on a brother.
That's right. With a brother, you could say, "Gosh, I'm feeling insecure.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like I failed it. I'm feeling low right now.
Yeah.
What can you give me? I need brothers. I think my generation probably struggled with that, maybe more than yours. I don't know, but I think all men tend toward isolation.
Sure. Yeah. I can see, as I get older, I can see the tendency of the human heart to want isolation more, right? I can sense that in my own heart sometimes, that if I don't fight it, it'll kind of harden a little bit. I don't know if you've noticed that or not, but there's that tendency, that pull towards that, to just get away from the noise.
I think for me, I think as a pastor, I've been so close to relational overload most of my adult life that I do enjoy peace and sitting on the back porch with a cup of coffee and nobody's around.
Yeah.
I can go with that.
Yeah. But just remember, if you take that to the extreme and you're away from everyone, no eyes can see you, no ears can hear you, you're functionally irrelevant at that point.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. And so the other day I got one of those extended periods of time. We'd already been with our kids and grandkids. My wife was gone it was like about 4 or 5 hours. And I had decompressed and I was relaxed and I was like, okay, I'm ready for her to come back.
Yeah.
you know? So get the margin you need, but you're irrelevant if you're not engaging with other people.
Yeah.
In some respects.
He also says to reclaim the sacred visibly.
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
so bring back rituals, bring back the awe, the majesty, those kind of things.
we need the Lord's Supper on a regular basis. We need worship on a regular basis. We need meeting with God's people. Is there anything else? What else in that? Aesthetic seriousness signals theological seriousness. Yeah.
If your pastor's getting up there in shorts and a t-shirt, right? It sends a message that I don't think that the clothes, honestly, I don't think the clothes matter that much at all.
Right.
But there is something to say about like dressing up, speaks to what's inside of like, I want this to be important to me. You know what I mean? Again, I wear jeans and a t-shirt to church all the time. So I don't think there's any value in the clothes themselves, but it's the intention of like, I want to make this special. That intention is a good thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because our culture is across the church is very casual,
Yeah.
except in the more liturgical churches.
Right.
Yeah. We have a pastor that comes to Forge who wears the collar and it stands out. And he's a very approachable guy. I love him. Easy to talk to. But there is something that he represents by just wearing that collar. It is a sacred. He's standing aside as a sacred follower of Christ. Interesting.
Yeah. One more is train them for the world they're actually in. Okay. So talk about the real world, get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Like get practical, like influence their actual lives and the obstacles that they're actually facing.
See, I think this is one of the most important. In fact, I think pastors need to disciple their people in the real world in which we live and not be afraid to talk about all of those things. And lust, marriage, money, secrets, porn, doubt. There's no such thing as a secret, right? We think we men are holding secrets. No, there's no secrets with God. And I have found that with most men, secrets come out historically, that they all come out. So disciple us. We need to be disciples for the real world, not the world we think exists, but the real world.
Yeah.
And that's why bold preaching, bold teaching, bold men's ministries is not afraid to address anything. Jesus was out there.
Oh yeah. He was bold.
He was bold.
For sure. Still is.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. We're going to end it there, but I want to thank everyone for listening to this episode of the Forge Truth Podcast. If you want to join the conversation, have any questions or comments for us, you can email us at forge@forgetruth.com, and you can learn more about the Forge movement at forgetruth.com. Pete, will you lay a challenge for our men today?
Yeah, men, understand how much you matter. And and that God has a plan for you that is rich and full, and He wants to build you. So understand your identity. Your calling is high. Lead like it matters. Understand that what you are doing today matters for today and tomorrow.